You know, every now and then, boys, I will come across a principle with my clients that I think is super important and probably applicable to more than just him. And today is one of those days where I want to pick out a principle that I worked with a client on and I want to share it with you guys because I think there's some of you that are going to be able to relate to this principle and this application, okay? And it has to do with giving up on stuff. It has to do with when you work hard on something for a little while, but then it's this powerful burst of motivation that then goes away later. And the truth is, for a lot of you guys, it's not laziness because you're willing to work hard, but it's an issue of being addicted to growth and not understanding how it works. You're addicted to growth, you're addicted to this victory, but you don't understand the process, and so you misinterpret the process. And I want to explain what the process is and how you're misinterpreting it. And this is something, if I'm being super honest, I still struggle with this. I wish I were always able to speak as some guru who's conquered everything, but I haven't. This is one of those things that I know how it works and I'm still working on it, still having to remind myself of it. I'd be lying if I said I'm perfect in every way. So this is one of those ways I'm not perfect. But I'm getting a lot better. I'm a lot better than I used to be. So if you're watching this, first of all, who are we talking to? We're not talking to lazy guys who just like hype, who want to stay stuck in addiction and dopamine chasing and like to talk a big game but don't really make a change. If that's you, then this is not really going to be helpful for you. But if you're a man who can be a very disciplined guy and has actually done things in life and had a job that you worked hard at, graduated with a degree, have some sort of a hobby or an accomplishment that you're really good at or relatively good at, above average at least. If you're able to work, right? You've proven that you're able to work hard, but you're not able to work hard consistently and you feel like you give up too soon, this might be exactly the problem that you're facing and that I have faced in the past too. My client is addicted to growth, to moments of breakthrough, right? We do an in-depth assessment, and I'm going to talk about this on another video, breaking down my whole coaching outline, my whole process. But the first part of the process that every single person goes through is we go through a deep assessment of the client's life, literally from birth up to the point we're at in life, birth to now. And we go through this assessment not because I like hearing their childhood stories, even though I often do, but it's so that we can identify patterns and trends. And I have to ask very specific questions and follow-up questions that unearth some of these tendencies. And we also do, growth assignments, homework assignments that they send me via email throughout the week that I look at and research and compare to the notes taken on the calls. And I put it all together and we start to see patterns and we start to draw conclusions from all of the stuff we get from the questions. So my client, after the assessment phase, we start to realize some of his most happy and positive times in life was when he surprised himself with a breakthrough. It was when he was plodding along through life and working on something, doing something, and then almost as if out of nowhere, a breakthrough happened. So what do I mean by breakthrough? For the purposes of this conversation, guys, let's say a breakthrough is when you're pushing on something, and it's not moving, and And this could be an addiction. This could be a math problem. This could be, a PR at the gym. This could be a bad habit, This could be trying to learn to do something a new way that you're not used to. And you keep pushing and pushing, but you keep hitting this wall and it's not letting you break to the next level or stop the bad habit or whatever threshold you're trying to cross. A breakthrough is when you literally break through that wall, okay? That's what a breakthrough is. So my client really, really liked and highly esteemed these moments of breakthrough. But what we found was, if he wasn't consistently hitting those breakthrough moments enough, he would lose interest. Okay, that's how he described it, losing interest or being lazy. Okay, so if you can relate, it's like you go through things and you're trying something new, a new hobby, or you're trying to educate yourself in a new way, exploring a different career path, getting into like a different side hustle or whatever. And you have all these ideas and you go from thing to thing to thing, and you don't make sustained progress anywhere. Maybe you make bursts of progress. This could be with your fitness, nutrition, whatever. Really anything. You make sustained burst of progress or unsustained burst of progress that you can't make last, right? For this guy, and for a lot of you watching this, it's because you're addicted to the breakthrough part of growth. But you're not addicted to the rest of it. The rest of it you see as boring and mundane and meaningless. This part, where you're just going up against the wall, ramming your head into the wall again and again and again and again, you're not breaking through. That's the part that you're hating and not addicted to. You're addicted to the breakthrough. So here's what happens. Excuse me. Because you're addicted to the breakthrough, if you don't get a hit quick enough, you give up. And we're not talking about, again, it's not about like lots of money or, this big pleasurable thing like a pizza party or a cookie or, money. It's nothing like that. It's just you want to experience that level up. You want to experience breaking that plateau. And if you don't have that feeling of breakthrough, your addiction withdrawal starts to, I need that breakthrough feeling. And so if you don't get that in a certain venue and you feel like you're doing this, you give up. Okay? So here's the revelation I gave my client that's going to apply to a lot of you too that are in that same boat. So when you are hitting up against that wall, you think that you're not growing. You think that this is pointless, this is meaningless, this is futile, and I'm not making any progress. And all of that is true, okay? You probably didn't expect me to say that. All of that is true. You're not growing, it is meaningless, it is futile, you're not making any progress. All true. But they are all true only on the conscious level, okay? On the conscious level. For those of you who are new here, what do we mean by the conscious level? We mean the level of which you are conscious. We mean the level of which you are aware, okay? So like right now at this very moment, I am consciously aware of the camera. I'm consciously aware of what I'm saying to you. But until this very moment, I was not consciously aware of, my AirPods sitting on the desk. They've been there the whole time, but they were not in my conscious awareness, okay? The conscious awareness is limited, all right? The conscious awareness is good for strategic thinking, language, Excel spreadsheets, school, business strategy. The conscious mind is good for a lot of things, but its scope is very limited, okay? Its capacity for processing and focus is very, very limited, all right? Underneath the conscious mind is the subconscious mind. So backtracking a little bit, what did we say? That moment that you're trying to break through, but you can't, and it's been too long since you got to hit a breakthrough, your breakthrough addiction withdrawal starts to kick in and you want to give up and move to something else. It's because on a conscious level, on an awareness level, you are not making any progress. It's meaningless and it's futile on a conscious level. But here's the thing. That is not true on the subconscious level. Sub means under, okay? So the subconscious level is the level of intelligence and being that is under your conscious, under your awareness, right? So the AirPods I pointed out earlier, right now they're in my conscious mind, okay? If I put them here and I start focusing on you guys again, they're still there in reality. They leave the conscious mind and then they go into the subconscious mind or even the unconscious mind, right? And then if you were to ask me, Luke, where are your AirPods? That would trigger a memory from the subconscious and bring it up to the conscious. And now it's back in the conscious mind again. Okay, so here's where I need you to lock in. A breakthrough, lock in. A breakthrough, when we push through that wall in addiction, in fitness, in learning, in skill acquisition, whatever it is, a breakthrough is when subconscious progress becomes conscious. That's all it is. It's when subconscious progress becomes conscious, okay? Because you can be making progress, getting better, but not realizing it, right? It's kind of like if you've seen F1 or you know about how F1 works, they're doing all these little things to the vehicle to make it just a little bit faster, a little bit more aerodynamic, a little bit more stable, right? And all of these little things, when you put them together, they may not produce a conscious sense of progress, but they're all working together. And then maybe it's one little tweak here or one little tweak there that brings it all together, and then you see it, and then you see the conscious progress. It's like, wow, we just had a breakthrough. Okay, well, all that progress was still happening. There was just something that was added to it that made you see it. A breakthrough is when subconscious progress becomes conscious. Usually that's because it comes all together in a way that you can see and feel and hear and touch and taste, right? It's like, it's a very obvious progression. It's like the bamboo tree that sprouts, doesn't grow, and then springs up, shoots up massively overnight. That's what a breakthrough usually feels and looks like. But really, I mean, sometimes that type of growth can happen, like very visibly, but you still don't have that breakthrough feeling because your self-worth and self-perception is so low that you don't even acknowledge it, okay? And for those of you who think that sounds crazy, I see it all the time with clients. I've seen this in my own life. Sometimes you will be like visibly progressing in your life. You will be visibly doing well, but you don't have that sense of breakthrough because it's not conscious to you. Remember, breakthrough is when subconscious progress becomes conscious. You could literally be making more money than you ever have in your life. And, 5 years ago you were broke, but you still might not have ever felt breakthrough at any point. You went from rags to riches. 5 years ago, destitute. Right now, 5 years later, rich. And you may have never felt breakthrough the whole time because your progress has still not entered your conscious mind. You have a scarcity mindset that takes all the money for granted. Oh, it's going to go away. It's not going to be here anytime soon. It's going to, it'll disappear tomorrow. And so you don't allow that win to register in your conscious mind. Okay. So bringing it back to the beginning, the reason why you give up too soon is because you're addicted to breakthrough. You think breakthrough is what growth looks like, but the reality is growth is happening the whole time. The whole time that you're doing this, growth is happening. It's just subconscious progress, meaning you don't notice it. So what I need you to do, if you want to change your life on this whole deal, you need to learn to recognize the darkest point of the night is before the dawn. You need to recognize when the waters are still on the surface, it doesn't mean nothing's happening underneath. You need to learn to recognize this period of conscious futility, conscious meaningless, conscious feel like I want to give up, conscious no progress. Understand that is what's called a compression phase. A compression phase is when the conscious mind is feeding all of the data points into the subconscious, and the subconscious is restructuring, reorganizing, and aggregating all this data and plugging it in to be actionable and powerful. Okay? So that is happening, whether or not you are conscious of it or not. It is happening, right? Whether or not it produces a breakthrough, it's happening. It's still happening under the surface. So what I need you to understand, what I need you to be able to do is in those periods where you're doing this and it feels meaningless and futile and worthless, I'm going to give you a little hack, okay? First of all, all the cliche about this is where everybody gives up, but you have to push through, or the meme of the guy who's digging and then he gives up right before he hits the diamonds, right? That's all true, okay? So that all applies here. Don't give up, okay? But here's something that can help you along the way. While you are digging, pounding away at that wall, whatever it is, I want you to temporarily reframe in your mind what winning is. Because God doesn't call us to be successful in the sense of always having breakthroughs. A lot of us are addicted to that. I see this a lot worse with guys who are big gamers, because video games are designed to give you that breakthrough feeling very frequently and in a very controlled and measurable way. And that's part of why they're so addicting, especially for men, is because we're designed to be expanding and conquering and achieving. And that feeling of breakthrough is by design built into those games to make them addicting to men. So if you are a massive gamer, this is probably really, really, really important for you. In those phases of life where you're hitting that wall, the problem with life is not a video game in the sense that life doesn't have like a metric or standard necessarily for what you have to do to break through. Video games will usually there's a certain level, there's a certain percentage, or there's a certain number of times, or there's a certain number of tokens or whatever. There's a certain something that you have to get, and you know that once you get it, you'll have that breakthrough. Life is not that way. Life is this place of indefinite pressing. Like you don't know if or when it will end necessarily. Okay? When you're in that phase of compression where the subconscious progress is not conscious, here's a little hack I'm going to give you. I need you to reframe what success looks like. It doesn't look like breakthrough, it looks like faithfulness. Faithfulness in doing the best that you can at what you're doing. So let's say, you are trying to learn something, but you can't learn it. You're not getting it. It's not clicking with you. Success now needs to shift. You need to shift your success from having a breakthrough to faithfully studying and practicing the thing for a certain amount of time at the same time every day. Success is now your faithful execution at doing the work. And it's a trust in the process and in the God of the process. It's a trust that this faithful digging away, chipping away, hacking away is producing subconscious progress, even though I don't consciously see it. You have to trust that. You have to trust it. If you can learn to do that and stop idolizing the breakthrough, you'll find yourself a lot less lazy. You'll find yourself a lot more motivated and disciplined when you realize that the breakthrough is, it's a special feeling, but it's really nothing special. The breakthrough is a special feeling, but it's just, all it is the culmination and aggregation of all the subconscious progress that you've made bubbling up to the surface in an instant. And if you're not self-aware at all, it's going to feel like a genie just came down and blessed you, right? If you're not self-aware, it's going to feel like, this magical moment. But there's nothing magical about it. There's nothing special about it, even though it feels special. It's this beautiful, fun surprise. But all it is when the subconscious progress becomes conscious. So when you're in this futile, meaningless, no progress conscious phase, don't give up. Because it is meaningful, you are progressing, it's not futile. It's all being compressed. And not to get super fruity here, but often the flowers that take the longest to bloom are the most beautiful. Right? The investment that you leave in the market the longest is the one that bears the most interest. Sometimes the trial and the journey that God is putting you through is taking longer because the work he's doing is greater, okay? What he's looking for, though, is your faithfulness. He's not looking for a magical breakthrough, which is what you often look for. He's looking for your faithfulness. And here's a flip side. For a lot of you, your breakthrough could have happened years ago. Some of you, days, weeks, months, even years. Some of you, your breakthrough could have happened years ago, but it hasn't. Because you never compress, push enough. You're never faithful enough. You idolize that breakthrough so much that when you don't get it soon enough, you switch to something else. Because here's the thing. When you're at level 1, it's really easy to get to level 2. And that breakthrough feeling happens. But when you're at level 15, it's a lot harder to get to level 16, isn't it? When you're at level 50, it's really impossible to get to level 51. When you're at level 99, you're going to be stuck there for years. Okay? That's why you get lazy and lose interest, is because you're getting that hit of breakthrough every single time like a drug from levels 1 to 5, but then somewhere around level 6, 7, 8, 9, it's taking too long. You get stuck. And you don't realize that you are making progress, but the breakthrough hasn't happened, so you don't realize it. Wrap that all up, guys. God looks for faithfulness, not breakthrough. Breakthrough is a fun and special gift. It provides a fun and special feeling, right? We all love it. I love it too. But that's not what God looks for. God looks for faithfulness. And faithfulness always brings breakthrough. Always. Faithfulness needs to be the new metric for your success. And to be consistently faithful, you need to have faith in the process and in the God of the process. Faith in the process that even though it feels futile, feels meaningless, feels like you're not making any progress. And even though that is true at a conscious level, faith in the process is all the time I'm faithfully pursuing this and putting in reps, even though they're failing reps or incomplete reps or messed up reps. All the time I'm putting in the reps, the subconscious compression, organization, restructuring is happening. And at some point in the future, whenever all of it clicks, that subconscious progress will break through and become conscious progress. And you're going to feel amazing. That's step one, trusting the process. Step number two is trusting in the God of the process. He who began a good work will be faithful to complete it in you. He will keep your path straight if you acknowledge him in all your ways. He's not going to let you lean against the wrong wall with your ladder or head in the wrong direction. He will for a little bit, maybe even for a long time, but he won't do it unless he's working it together for your good. So whether you're heading the right way or the wrong way, he's gonna work it together for your good. Okay? So stay faithful in doing the best you can at whatever the best thing is that you can. Trust the process and trust the God of the process. Trust him more than the process, obviously, but they're kind of one and the same. He gave you the process, okay? So to trust the process is to trust him, okay? Trust that his path of faithfulness is best for you. And keep pushing, bro. Greatness is displayed in the spotlight, but it's developed in the darkness. For the boys, episode 37. Y'all take care.